So welcome everyone, here we go with the latest Hangout. I just want to check that you can actually hear me and see me, and then we're fine. So if you're out there, let me know you're out there. Let's go, folks. At the moment, I'm getting no response whatsoever, which is slightly worrying. Oh dear. I do hope you're there, everyone. No. Hello from Mexico. Hi Daniel, here we go. Hello. Let me just check everything's working. Everything working? Is everything working? I don't know. You tell me. It is working, says Andrew Jezelson in New York. Greetings to you, Andrew in New York. GJ in sunny Nottingham. Fantastic. That's where my son is at university. That's mad. Well, it looks like we've got a huge attendance here. Fantastic. I'm just taking in all these names from people from all over the world. This is fantastic. We've got Max in Sweden, Spiros in Greece. We've got, I've missed a few. We've got someone in Mexico. We've got, I don't know, all over the place. We've got Bhavnesh in Mumbai. Special greetings to Mumbai, as you'll find out a bit later. From Melbourne, Sharam in Melbourne, Romania. Fantastic. This is Vancouver. Brilliant. Mayank in India. Alex van Hoof in Wimbledon. That's just down the road from me. I'm in Teddington. But okay, at the moment. Douglas Squirrel in the wilds of Kent. Fantastic. Gunny in Munich, Brazil, Melbourne, Zurich. Oh, here we go. Maryland, Oregon, Cali. Okay. Felag in Copenhagen. Hoy from Tring. Texas, Lake District, Wales, Paisley. Hi, David in Paisley. Solihull, one of the best hulls in the UK. Beautiful. I love that. That's really good. Okay, folks. So, what we're going to do today, it is a free day in the middle of the candidates. We've played 6 rounds, of course. I want to talk about the candidates. At the moment, the candidates seems to be taking place. But I tell you what, so many players have expressed dissatisfaction with what's going on at the moment with of course our world crisis. Then honestly, if the players turned around and during this rest day basically said, we want to postpone the tournament, we want to get home, we want to just catch up with life, it would not surprise me. I'm sure those conversations are going on. I'm not party to any of them, but I would say it's kind of 50-50 whether the tournament goes ahead. They might decide, well, we're there and we may as well just carry through. I don't know. It's a really difficult situation, and I feel for the players. I think it's so tough on them. How could you possibly play? How could you possibly concentrate when you have everything that's going on in the world in the back of your mind? Not only worried about your own health, but how about, you're worried about your family back home. Very difficult. Very difficult indeed. Okay, well, for the time being anyway. Nuo Fortugosi asks, hi Dan, did you really read all those books in your bookshelf? I'm going to make a terrible confession. No! But I did read a lot of them. And some of them I just used for research. It's useful to have a reference library. Pythagonal Pi says, Daniel, do you agree with Grishuk's opinion, the current situation affects the outcome and the tournament should therefore be stopped. Of course, but the situation affects the outcome. I've just been saying that. It's up to the players and the FIDE to decide whether they go ahead with the tournament. It really is up to them. Okay, I want to catch up with events from yesterday. And Giri's game was very long. So if you just hang back with your questions and comments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take you through the end of Giri's game from yesterday. It lasted 98 moves. I'm not going to show you all 98 moves, if you don't mind. However, it's a typical Giri game. I think Giri is at his best when he's playing these very dry technical positions. And he's managed to win a pawn. Now, this should be a draw. Theoretically, it's a draw, 3v2 with knights on the board. But it is very tricky. I should remind you that Carlsen beat Anand in exactly this endgame not so long ago. So here, for example, White has a lot of choice. Alexienko played king d3, which looks very natural. Apparently knight f3 is better, but then you have to determine, is it a mistake to go for this, for example? It's very hard to say, and now you're left with an isolated pawn. This is extremely hard to judge. Apparently this is a better way of playing. Very hard to know. Instead, Alexienko played like this. And Giri started to creep in. Here we go. This is really tough to defend because really all you can do is wait. It's very hard indeed. And now you can see that Black's king has actually reached a better square. And now it's getting tough because White always has to watch out for this lever, which will expose this pawn, weaken this pawn, undermine the f-pawn. And here, both players were starting to get really short of time. Alexienko, from memory, had something like a minute and a half on the clock. Now they're getting 30 seconds each time they make a move. However, in this situation, 30 seconds is not much when you're having to make a really critical decision on each move. Now Giri, I think, had something like 2 or 3 minutes. There's some argument here for waiting, in fact, and running your opponent's clock down. But Giri took the plunge with h4. So, he seized his chance. Now, if this is taken, then king takes f4, and this really reminds me of the Carlsen-Anand game. We might have a very quick look at that in a second. Instead, Alexienko played knight h3. Good move. The king came back and now took. So now it's level material, but Black's king comes in. And now Alexienko played an excellent move. If this knight retreats, say here, then Black's king is in prime position and can come back and take the h-pawn. Alexienko played f5. Really good move. So if king takes knight, then pawn takes pawn, and this one goes. If king takes pawn, then actually this is okay for White, because now there's a threat to come in here. If king g4, then the knight will come in here and get this one. So knight c3, and actually White can hold this. You can see that this knight covers the g4 square, so the Black king can't enter here if the king were to move, for example. And this should be a draw. So f5 has just been played. Pawn takes pawn. I think this might have disconcerted Alexienko, because it looks like a very strange move to double your f-pawns. King here, good move. King takes knight, that h-pawn rolls. Actually, no, king takes knight. I mean, maybe you can push the h-pawn, but maybe it's clearer just to do this. That's definitely a draw, but maybe h5 is good. Anyway, king f4 is certainly a draw. So Giri played knight c3. Knight f2 check, good move. So if king takes pawn, king f4, and the king takes the pawns. So king g3 from Giri. And here is where Alexienko made the fatal mistake. He played what looks like a very natural positional move, knight d3, to try and blockade on f4. Instead, he should have played the bizarre knight h1 check. You see, it's those kind of strange moves that maybe you don't consider when you're down to 30 seconds on the clock. If king takes pawn, then king f4, and we take this pawn, and white draws. King g2, looks like it's winning this one. Well, it is, but who cares? King f4, and again, you can just take this pawn, and, well, even black has to be a little bit careful because of this pawn. Of course, it should be a draw. I mean, in this position, of course, the king can come back to g4, and then this is just a draw. And very easy draw. But in the game, knight d3 played, check, and knight f4. I think that's a difficult move to actually foresee. Somehow to block the passed pawn is maybe counterintuitive. Perhaps Alexienko hadn't properly considered that. Of course, the king and pawn endgame is actually a simple win for black. You can pick up that pawn. So knight c5. And now this is a very clear extra pawn. Well, sorry, it's two extra pawns, of course. But in this case, it doesn't matter that it's a double pawn, basically. We're going to win that knight. White doesn't have a defense now. f5, and that was the final move of the game. Let's play it out. So if the king moves, then king g2, and if knight c4, then knight e4, and then f4 to stop knight e3. You can see that the doubled f pawn actually performs a really important function, and then king g2. There we go, end of game. So that is how Giri won his very first game in the candidates. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Alexienko, poor guy, he defended extremely well for over 80 moves. Right, now I can come back to your comments. So here we go. Let me see. We have Horvath Livio in Waterford. Oh, fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful place, Waterford. Sarah in South London. Great. Let me see. And Christian Bay in Hamburg. Hi, Christian. So, I mean, I've just said it. It's up to the players to decide whether they continue. I mean, I'd be interested to hear your views, actually. Do you think they should continue playing the tournament? It is, from as far as I'm concerned, it's completely up to them. And if they decided collectively to say, right, we want to suspend the tournament, I think that would be fair enough. So let me know your views. While you're considering that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of the puzzles that I posted on the community tab. We'll go through those because some of the solutions that you gave, I always say don't put the solutions, but some of you like to show how wonderful you are and put the solutions down. But anyway, not everyone was precise with their solutions, so I'll be looking at those. Remy im Schwarzwald. What do I think about Ding's downfall? Well, I feel very sorry for him. You know, he's an absolute class act, and he's obviously having a really rough time. You know, when was the last time that he lost 3 games in the first 6 rounds in a tournament? You know, he's a very solid player normally, so obviously he's affected. So there we go. I think, as Pythagonal Pi says, some players would prefer to stop now, others want to continue. I think they would need a collective decision. I don't think it's enough that some would like to continue and others don't. And Tim says some of the players are clearly worried. Yeah. There's also the question of how they'd get back home, particularly Fabi and the Chinese players. Well, I guess that's a consideration anyway, whether the tournament is suspended now or whether it goes to the end. David Kerr says, as long as the players are safe, I think they should continue. They're giving a great distraction to their fans. Well, that is true. I have to say that, you know, in these strange times, it is wonderful that they are giving us something really fascinating to look at. But it's really tough. It's really tough. Max Varland says, what is Nepo's strongest suit and would he have a good chance against Magnus? Well, he would have a chance against Magnus, and I think... So let's discuss his strengths. He calculates very well. He has a good strategic understanding. Technically, he's brilliant. We saw that in the first round. I thought his game against Giri was absolutely superb. His technique at the end was perfect, actually. He also has a very good understanding of really complex positions, and that's why I think he would actually stand a chance against Magnus, because while Magnus is, well, he's brilliant in every phase of the game, but if he has one slight weakness, it's that maybe doesn't always play perfectly in complex situations, which Nepo is good at. So, you know, it would be very interesting. I mean, personally, I think Caruana or Ding would have the best prospects against Magnus. But Nepo, well, we would have an absolutely fascinating fight if he did actually challenge Magnus. Right, where are we? Yeah, I mean, one option would be to, as Tim said, there could be some World Championship match next year. I think they could simply postpone the candidates until next year. However, you know, to have too long a break, having played these 6 rounds, I think would be very unfortunate. But I think, I mean, even if the tournament goes off successfully, I think it's not clear at the moment whether the World Championship match in December would go ahead in Dubai, because well, scientists say that we're not likely to have a vaccine by the end of this year. And so would everyone be safe there? I mean, I think it seems to me sensible that the World Championship match should be postponed, but okay, one step at a time. Thank you, Max. Let's look at some more chess. Come on. Enough of this. So this is a very simple little study that I posted the other day on the community tab. It's really easy, but I kind of liked it. I thought it was really sweet somehow. It is white to play and draw. And in fact, if one is careful, one can set up basically a kind of fortress here. So we've got in this position, you can see that there is a slight problem for white, that his pieces are scattered. This pawn is also loose. And when your pieces are scattered against a dynamic, fast-paced, all-conquering, all-powerful queen, then pieces have trouble if they're not well coordinated. So it is a perilous situation for white. However, there is a tactical solution here. And GJ says, you always say it's really easy. I should say for some it's really easy. And it's even easier when you know the solution. So there we are. So here we go. E5 check. In fact, it's a very simple... the reason why I say it's easy is because it's a completely forcing sequence of moves. So this forces king takes pawn. And then we have this check, a knight fork, which obviously forces bishop takes knight. Okay, and now I'm going to leave it to you. How does white to play and draw? How does white to play and draw from this position? I've given you the first two moves. It looks ludicrous to give up a knight, but here we go. Let's see how you get on. GJ, should be easy from now on. Or maybe not, I don't know. You tell me. While you're thinking, I'll have another little slurp of tea. Cheers, everyone. So white to play and draw. Do put in the solution. By the way, while you're thinking about that, let me say that I've got a big announcement coming because I've got a new book coming out at the beginning of April. So I'll be letting you know about that very, very soon. Just bear with me. Andreas Sadler says, super difficult. Yeah, Francisco Cruz, I think, has it. Yeah, so is Angelos Berkatis. Yeah, it's d4. Lots of you have got it. Okay, well done, folks. So here we go. Rook takes pawn. Queen takes. So now you've given up all your pieces. Let's give up another one as well. d4 check. Obviously, king takes allows bishop f2. And queen takes allows bishop f6 check. King takes bishop and stalemate. There you go. I'm going to give you a quick action replay of that. I found it just very amusing because it had all these little tactics. So e5 check. King takes pawn. Knight c4, it's all forced, so we've got a double attack, another double attack, another double attack, and then finally a skewer, which ends in a stalemate. There we are. I thought that was rather sweet. Stalemate, or putt, as they say in many countries around the world. Toblerone 007 says, this reminds me of my style, giving all my pieces away. Very good, Toblerone. So, as I was saying, I've got a book coming out, and I'm really proud of this, I have to say. I've been working off and on, writing and researching on this book. Mentori Tori says, I gave you $1. No thanks. Oh, sorry, I missed that. I was obviously elsewhere. I'm just going back in the chat. Thank you very much, Mentori Tori. Yeah, as I said, I've been working on this book for the past 6 years, writing and researching, off and on. And this is the book. Sultan Khan, the Indian servant who became chess champion of the British Empire. I'm really proud of this book. I've done so much research on it. If you don't know the story, Sultan Khan came from India. He came from a very modest background. He arrived in London in 1929. And just after a few months in London, in England, he won the British Championship. And over the next sort of 4.5 years, he faced some of the top players in the world, faced the world champion Alekhine, faced Capablanca, and many, many other of the top players of that time, and did extremely well. And then at the end of 1933, he simply disappeared back to India. So a really mysterious figure. And he played some very unusual chess. And I wanted to find out about his life. And I've been researching, doing so much research, going to the British Library. For example, the British Library in London is an absolutely wonderful place. And I've been researching contemporary newspapers from the 1920s, 1930s, to try to find out about him, and I've discovered loads of new stories. It's simply an amazing story. There's a strong political background to the story, because he came over in the entourage of, Colonel Nawab Sir Umar Hayat Khan. Let me give you a link to where you can get it. You can pre-order the book from New in Chess, the publisher. I have to say, they've done a really nice job on the manuscript. There's some really great photos. So there you go. I've just put the link in the chat. You can pre-order it through New in Chess. There are also a few sample pages there you can take a look at. There are some wonderful photos that I've found. This photo you can see here, that was taken after Sultan Khan won the British Championship for the second time in August 1932, and he looks like a very happy man. And that trophy there is the British trophy for the British Championship, or as they hastily renamed it, the British Empire Championship, after Sultan Khan won it. For those in the States, I should say that, New in Chess is in the Netherlands. You can buy it through there. They ship to anywhere in the world. You can also buy it through Amazon as well. So, for example, you can get it here. There you go. You can buy it through Amazon. So, Tim says that looks exactly like the British Championship trophy. That's because it is the British Championship trophy, as I was just explaining. And yes, there, as Bethuriel says, there's a foreword by Vishy Anand, who wrote a really nice foreword making links between his own career and Sultan Khan's career, actually. Sultan Khan was really the first Asian to break into the ranks of international chess or Western chess a long time before Vishy, but obviously, Vishy superseded him in many ways. But Sultan Khan was a pioneer. And in some ways, Vichy followed in his footsteps. Vichy also played in the British Championship. Vichy also came over to England and played a lot of tournaments. And that's what Sultan Khan did. So I'm really, as I said, I'm really proud of this book. I really hope you get it. You won't be disappointed. It's 380 pages. There's simply amazing stories in there. And not only do I write about Sultan Khan, but I look at the chess scene of the 1920s and 1930s. So, the rivalry between Capablanca and Alekhine. Of course, Alekhine had become world champion in Buenos Aires not long before then. So let me see. Douglas Squirrel asks, should FIDE award Sultan Khan a posthumous title? Well, no, that wouldn't be worthy. He should be a grandmaster, absolutely. Tim asks, what was it that first attracted you to look at Sultan Khan's games? I've always been fascinated by his story, actually, and just for my own interest, I started researching his life. I was at the British Library, which is a place that I absolutely love, and started looking at contemporary newspapers. And just the more I researched, the more interesting it got, until I'd amassed all this body of research and decided, okay, what shall I do with it? And I thought I'd turn it into a book, basically. Andrew Jazelson says 1920 to 1930 is my favourite time period. Andrew, you're in New York, aren't you? I should say that I also write about some of the American players of that time. Frank Marshall, who was getting on in years but still playing incredible chess. But also I write about the rise of the American team at that time, because they won the Olympiad in Prague in 1931. They also won in Folkestone in 1933. So the American team was really on the rise at that point, and that's part of this story as well. And of course, Sultan Khan played Frank Marshall. He played Isaac Kashtan, for example, who was, a rising star and, someone who was often bracketed with Sultan Khan. Alan Manage says, yes, makes a very good point. Similar to the story of Indian mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan. Absolutely, there are parallels, and it's difficult to compare the two, but Sultan Khan had only learnt the rules of Western chess 3 years before he came to London, and that's the incredible thing. And yet he had all this extraordinary success. So it is an incredible story. Capablanca called him a genius because of that, because he'd only learnt Western chess 3 years before. So there we go. I needed to put it into the political context of the time. So there's a bit of political background as well, because of course India was part of the British Empire. There's funny stories. Sultan Khan played for the British team in these international team tournaments in Hamburg in 1930, in Prague in 1931, Prague 1933. But, well, it seemed strange to call it the British team. And so they just changed the name. They called it the British Empire team. And that meant that Sultan Khan could play as an Indian. Yes, Tim, that's exactly right. You've Googled very quickly. Vibav asks, Daniel, can you please price the book as per purchasing power parity of various regions? We're really excited about Sultan Khan, really want to appreciate your work. Yeah, listen, the pricing of the book isn't down to me. I'm sure that, for example, Chessbase India will probably be stocking it. I know that they have an arrangement with New in Chess. So I hope that it'll be priced so that it's affordable in India. And Tim asks, were Sultan Khan's openings influenced by the ancient Indian forms of chess? To some extent. To some extent. I think his style of play was more than his openings, actually. Angelos says Sultan Khan played the Stonewall. He did. Sultan Khan played systems. He didn't really... He didn't research in depth his openings. So he fell back on systems like the Stonewall, like the Caro-Kann, like the collar opening, for example. Angelos says, so he's definitely trying to play a slower game as the old Indian players used to play. I think that's reasonable to say, yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay, listen, we should look at some chess. I'm going to come back to that because I really want to publicise this. So let's look at some chess though first. Let me see. This is fun. Let me show you this one. So this position. I put this on the community tab and I'm afraid I don't think anyone got the correct solution. Maybe one person did, I'm not sure. So here we go. White has just played King C7. So you can see White is going in this direction. It's Rook and 2 against Rook and 2. It's Black to play. So both sides have a passed pawn, both supported by the king. So my question is, Black to play. How should Black play in this position? Taletha Testarossa says he actually defeated Capablanca. Sultan Khan did indeed defeat Capablanca. But anyway, we're looking at this position first. It is, we'll come back to Sultan Khan in a second. It is, let me see, what did I say? Yeah, it's Black to play. It's Black to play. How do you play here with Black? Now, please don't guess. I would like you simply to find Black's best move in this position. But you need to put in a variation, okay? No guessing. We need a variation. Alexandru Andre says Rook takes B7. Yes, but why? This is the question. You need to justify it with a variation. Why is Rook takes B7 the correct move? Okay. Listen, maybe this is beyond everyone. Martin van der Hidde says looks drawish. Angelos says Rook takes B7 is forced. It's certainly not forced. H3 was actually played in the game because, well, if Rook B6, then Black is actually better in this position because Black is going to take this pawn with, I would say, very good winning chances. So what about H3? There are two decent moves here. H3 or Rook takes B7 check. Which one would you go for and why? Peter Adams says Rook takes B7, etc. Yeah, okay. Listen, let me just zip through this one very quickly. Rook takes B7 check is the best move. And this should lead to a draw. Rook takes pawn check doesn't help. You can either play King G3 or King E3. They're both fine actually in this case. So here, and White's king is simply too slow, etc. Just going to be a draw. So let's just go back. Let's just check that. Takes. King C6 also doesn't work. I mean, you can play King G3 or King E3. Doesn't matter which one. And in this position, this is just a draw. So check, and here, etc. Just a draw. So the question is, why isn't H3 any good. Aha, Angelos has got it. This is amazing. So, as I said, rook b6 actually gives black good winning chances like this, because that f-pawn is going to drop. But the incredible thing is that white plays rook g6, and now black does not have a good move. Wherever that king goes, there's trouble. So, for example, if king takes pawn, then we play rook takes b6. Watch that b8 square. And after this, check. This is the problem. I've been looking recently, I mean, a lot of the puzzles I've put on the channel have been about this transition into a queen and pawn endgame from a king and pawn endgame. And often you get a race. It's so common. And when the queen enters on the board, then suddenly so many things occur. You get these random checks. You get checkmating ideas. It's just incredible. So this is winning. Let me just show you. So after this, well, if the king comes here, then you can simply play this and force a checkmate. Normally a rook's pawn, of course, is a draw, but because there's the f-pawn, you can do this. So this is simply a theoretical win with the pawn on h3. Now if we come back, so rook g6 check, just played. Now if king f3, to avoid this, as I think somebody's just pointed out, there is a very nasty skewer. Watch this, here we go, b8, h1, and boom! There we go. So here we go, let's come back, and if the king goes to the h file, again rook b6, and again there is a very nasty skewer. Here we go, watch out, boom! And that is that. So isn't that beautiful? Black thought he was doing very well, poor old Bagirov. I played Bagirov a couple of times. Yeah, h3 looks like a very good move, but no, you have to play rook takes pawn, and then it's a draw with king takes pawn. But it's a beautiful trick, a wonderful Zwischenschach, as we say, an in-between check. Okay. Toblerone says this is a good one to remember. Looks like quite a typical position. Well, I tell you what's typical is that these transitions into a queen endgame often result in amazing tactics. Queens are powerful pieces. Incredible things happen when they arrive on the board. Boom, as Pepe Cuenca would say, does he? He's not the only one that says boom. Me and Maurice were saying that a long time ago. Angelos says, can we play h3 after rook takes b7? Let's just look at that. h3 here. I don't think it makes any difference. I mean, it should still be a draw. Just don't play king g3, because then you're going to lose this one. No, there's no need to play h3. You just have to take this pawn, and you can draw this position anyhow you want. As I pointed out, king g3 is a draw, king e3 is also a draw, and push the f pawn. Very simple. Right. Tim says, Tim Wall says, as a general rule, I think it's better to take the draw in your hand because tactics can happen. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you. With endgames, it's all about precise calculation. You can't give a general rule. It is simply what works in the position. The secret of good technique is good calculation. It's as simple as that. It really is. Pepe delivers it with his own special Spanish exuberance. I'm sure he does. Good. Right. What else have I got to promote? I'm feeling in that kind of mood at the moment. Got a King's Gambit DVD coming out pretty soon. Should be out in 2 or 3 weeks, probably mid-April, probably about the same time as the Sultan Khan book. So watch out for that. You know, I like my King's Gambit. It's great fun, and it's so complex that it is still great fun to play. It really is. So I've had a tremendous time researching that. What else? Let me show you this one. This is a very simple position. I can see we're running out of time. Let me see. While you're thinking about this position, it is white to play. It's actually a study by Botvinnik, probably quite a famous study, but I somehow like it. I want to tell you about Patreon and PayPal. If you want to support the channel, we will be really grateful. There's 2 of us in this operation. There's me that does the chessy stuff, and I've got a tech support who does all this tricky stuff that I haven't got a clue about. And there's basically, we run the channel, and we would be grateful for your support. So listen, if you want to support us on PayPal, then there's the link to PayPal. You can make a one-off donation there. If you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com, do check out the support, the rewards you get on patreon.com Powerplaychess. There are different tiers. For example, if you donate $5 a month, you get to see some videos in advance. You get a monthly newsletter with a test game. So for let me just put this in. I'm flogging like crazy tonight. There you go. For $5 you get a monthly newsletter, puzzle, test game, special offers, and you get to see videos in advance. For $10, this is an absolute bargain. You get that monthly newsletter. You get an extra video every month that includes puzzles. So yeah, you get, for $10 a month, you get an extra video, but also you get access to all these amazing playlists, opening playlists. So you can research a particular opening. Koronikov, yeah, great. Max M, am I the author of this new book about Sultan Khan? I am, and I'm going to show it to you one more time. I'm very proud of this. While you're thinking about that puzzle, there you go. There's the new book, and I'm going to put the link in again. So if you want to pre-order it, you can order it through there you go. That's the link to order it. Yeah, Salman's the Bollywood actor, yeah. Yeah, so for $10 a month, I'm flogging like crazy. Sultan Khan and now Patreon, you get access to all these opening lists, where basically I put videos on the channel according to their opening. And if you want to research it, then yeah. Honestly, we would be very grateful for your support. There's 2 of us in this operation, and sometimes it is really hard to devote the time to it. Upgifter asks, hey Daniel, really like your stream, thank you very much. Who has the biggest chance to dethrone Carlsen of all the players in the world? I think Caruana. You know, I think he's clearly number 2 in the world. Gary1728 asks, do I have Caracan videos? Yeah, basically every video on the channel that's played with the Caracan, I've put in a playlist, and you have access to that. You also have access to all the other opening playlists. There's about 20 opening playlists that allow you to research that opening by looking through the videos that I've recorded on the channel. You know, I think there are something like 1,500 videos on the channel. So what I've done is I've done all the hard work. I've grouped those videos according to opening, and that allows you to research it. For $10 a month gets you that. If you want to, for $25 a month, you get an opening survey each month. It's a half hour. You're normally 25 minute, half an hour opening survey. It's good value. Toblerone says he watched his coverage of the Berlin game the other day. Fantastically complicated. Yeah, it was really, really interesting. Let me see. So I'm flogging loads of stuff. Let me finish off with this study by Botvinnik. Okay, here we go. So, white to play. So, first things first, in a pawn endgame, you should always activate your king as quickly as possible. Now, black's options are limited. If f5, well, this is just going to lose very, very quickly. And white king breaks through really easy. And if king here, then king here. And the pawns drop. So black has to play king here. No doubt about that. So king here. And the king steps to the side. Now white has a golden opportunity here to create an outside pass pawn. So g4. So that gets taken. Here. Now, if, for example, let's say f5 check, and the king comes back to sort of look after this pawn, then this is very easy. Well, a classic distant pass pawn situation. And white's king gets across here, and very, very simple win. The b pawn goes through. So in this position, coming back, instead of f5, black plays king e4 to support the f pawn. So we play h5, and the f pawn advances, and here is where white plays the star move. This is really the only tricky move in the position. And this is actually a surprisingly common theme in pawn endgames. What should white play? I can see you're stunned into silence. Yes, well done to Rawand Hamid. King g3 will only draw because king here, and then the f pawn goes through, for example, like this, and both sides queen, and that should be a draw. The only move that wins is king h3. Really simple. Here, h6, f3, h7, and if f2, then of course we just stop the pawn and make a queen. So there we go. That's the tricky move. That's the beautiful move, king h3. And actually that is surprisingly common in pawn endgames. Okay folks, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to leave you with my friend Sultan Khan again. There we are, Sultan Khan. The book will appear, should be beginning of April, maybe mid-April. I hope that supply chains aren't compromised with our current crisis. So do check it out. I'm really, really proud of this. I've put a lot of work into it, and it is just a fantastic story. Great games by my man Sultan Khan, and just amazing stories of that time. So I would warmly recommend it. Okay folks, I'm going to give you that link one more time. I don't want you to miss out, come on. You won't regret it. You can pre-order it from New in Chess. Pre-orders make a big difference actually. There's some great photos in there, by the way. Photos that I've sort of dug out from all kinds of interesting places, like the National Gallery, National Portrait Gallery. So I've lost my train of thought for a moment. The National Portrait Gallery in London has some great photos, and from all kinds of things as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Dan, I'll be in touch. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and yeah, watch out for more candidates coverage. I'm going to get Yannick Peltier to do a couple of videos on the candidates as well soon, so look out for those. Thanks very much for watching, folks. See you later. Bye now.